My basement. I'm Tarek Patel.
And I'm Randy Rosenblum, and this is SoCal Prep Report. He's in the basement? We're going to find out why Tarek Patel is in the basement. I know why, because he's on Babygate. He says his wife, Bree, lovely lady, by the way, is going to have a baby anytime soon. I think he's just taking a vacation. So, Tarek, are you really having a second child? Or are you just taking a break?
Yeah, I think both can be true, can't they? Taking a break a little bit before the baby comes, but yeah, we're expecting our second child, a baby boy. My wife's due date was actually on Monday, so here we are Thursday, a little late. Our first child was 2 weeks late, and that tends to be a trend. But yeah, so he might come a little bit, a little bit later. But we're excited and didn't want to be too far away from home if she starts to go into labor. So doing the show from remote today.
She's doing all the work. Give Bree all
Amen.
the credit in the world.
Amen.
And it is a boy. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So that's Babygate. Let's talk about Crampgate. I'm going to get your thoughts about Crampgate after we look at this feature that Tarek put together. Crampgate.
Hey everybody, Tarek Patel here. Want to break down the Sierra Canyon play that's gone viral. Sierra Canyon hosting Gardena Serra, two really good programs, two long-time veteran, well-respected coaches. Scott Altenberg at Serra, been there forever. John Ellinghaus at Sierra Canyon, also been there forever. Things got a little petty Friday night. Let's just call it what it is. Let's take a look. Here's the play that's gone viral. We'll take a look at it more in depth later, but all the players fall on Sierra Canyon while they're on offense, pretending to cramp up. Okay, that was late third quarter. Second quarter, quarterback scrambles for Sierra Canyon, sped it up a little bit so we can get this video on the road. But look on the bottom, as they're rolling, trying to snap the ball, a Serra player at the bottom of your screen falls, grabs to what seems to be his shin first, and then, gets to the back of the leg. But in the middle of your screen, there's another player that flails around what appears to look like maybe wants to get down to show he's cramping, but then doesn't. Seconds later, he's back into the screen, walking, talking to the official. Weird, right? And this is where Sierra Canyon started to grow its contention. This is literally the next play. This is another player getting a cramp. This one looks legit. Look at the Sierra Canyon player, kind of funny, helping him out, stretching him out. But point is here we go. Another theme here. Play down the field in the red zone. Player cramping, athletic trainer comes out, stretches him out. Sierra Canyon's contention was that they were doing it on purpose to slow things down. So Sierra Canyon coach John Ellinghaus basically admits he got frustrated, he got hot in the moment. He tells his players to go out there and pull this stunt. Not a good look. Known John Ellinghaus a long time. Not a good look. You're up 23-0. Sarah's not having a great game. They can't really move the ball. And this is a stunt you pull. And so Scott Altenberg, who's at the middle of your screen here, who's a well-respected longtime coach, fired up, middle of the field. He wants to have a go at the Sierra Canyon sideline. And then that's the AD talking to the white hat there that's trying to get across the field for Serra Gardena. Scott Altenberg a little bit to the middle right of your screen, getting held back by his coaches. But that was the issue. Now, Scott Altenberg said that he never told any of his players to go down on purpose. Nevertheless, I do think both things can be true. There could have been a little bit of strategy there to slow things down, fall to the ground. We see it at all levels, high school, college, and pro. And what also can be true is Sierra Canyon probably shouldn't have done that. It's petty. A lot of people thought it was funny. Yes, I think we all understand probably not a good time to do that. Probably not the right place for it. Anyway, that's the breakdown. You be the judge. Tell me what you think.
I'll tell you what I think. John Ellinghaus shouldn't have done that. He had the game in hand. I know he felt it was still competitive. He was up about 20, 22 points, somewhere in that neighborhood. He shouldn't have done it. He had the better team. He was going to win either way, even if they were stalling with the cramps. Your final thought on that one, Tarek?
Yeah, it's what I said on Fattel Factor. I was actually kind of honored and flattered by the platform, to be honest, that on Friday this happened, and on Monday night I was able to get Coach Scott Altenberg and John Ellinghaus on my show, The Fattel Factor, on YouTube at 8 o'clock on Monday nights, and they both said their piece. I thought that was pretty cool. And what I will say is I think there was an opportunity. I do agree with you. I think there was an opportunity for John Ellinghaus to be above reproach. You know what I mean? When things are really not going like you want, and you could probably play per. Instead, he went out and pulled a stunt like that. On the other hand, a lot of coaches like to retaliate with some more vigor, man. Cheap shots, hurting players. Let's be honest, that happens out there. And he reacted with humor. So I do want to give that a little bit of light too. Last ad. This happened in the last play of the third quarter. There were no more cramps from the Sarah players in the fourth quarter. What does that tell you? And there were no cramps from any Sarah players on offense the whole game, only on defense. Go ahead, Randy.
That's it. There's the big picture on Cramp Gate. What about
Okay.
Trophy Gate? We got a lot of gates here. A lot of gates are swinging wide open. The LA City Section Championship trophy from last year is missing in action. No one knows where it is. Maybe you do at home. Maybe, Tarek, you know where this trophy is.
Yeah.
Do you?
I might have an idea, but I think this is something. It has disappeared before, and actually maybe you might know more about that than I do, but it has disappeared before and then come back. And if I'm not mistaken, the last time it disappeared was also when Narbonne was up to no good. So there is a common denominator here, if you catch my drift. Let's not forget, for the viewers, just a quick catch-up. Narbonne got in trouble, players ineligible, blah, blah, blah. They go on, win the city championship. It gets vacated, and now the trophy's missing.
The last time I gave it back, I have nothing to do with it this time. I'll leave it at that. I really did. I had nothing to do with it. Here's another one, and this is not a good story. It's about Brady Smigel, great quarterback at Newbury Park, done ACL for the year and for his career because it's his senior season. Set all kinds of records throwing the football, video game numbers for the Newbury Park Panthers. Won a CIF championship last year, had his great receiver Shane Rosenthal with him. But it's really sad that it ends this way, but it will illustrate, when you look at the numbers over his career, just how great he was, and he's going to play at Michigan after he gets healthy again. And I know, Tarek, you're close with this young man, and you know how good Brady Smigel is on and off the field.
Yeah, he really is an impressive young man. I've been texting him and his dad this week, and he's probing a couple high-end doctors, going to get a surgery, but he seems to be in good spirits. He's a competitive young man, a young man beyond his years in regard to socially. I always tell this story, and I won't go too deep on it, but basically, just after games, he's really a 5-star recruit, Michigan. People always want to talk to him after games, and I've just seen him in multiple settings where he can just hold court, talk to an adult, take a photo with fans, talk to an administrator, a teacher, an uncle. I mean, random people coming up, and he just like a seasoned pro. And so you hate to see someone like that have to deal with an injury like this, but I do think he'll bounce back stronger. And I do think he will end up being a starting quarterback at Michigan. And frankly, last ad, I think this injury will probably take him into about mid-year next year. So we probably won't see him as a true freshman. He probably redshirts. And then maybe he has a chance to play and be a legit backup, that second year in Michigan, and then sky's the limit. But I think I would say he needs to stay put. Don't transfer. Great place to play. Big Ten football. You'll get your chance, brother.
Another Brady at Michigan, and we wish him well. Hopefully he'll get healthy. Of course, Tom Brady went there as well. All right, let's go over some of these scores from last week. We got to start with the one that we had the problems with Cramp Gate.
Sure.
Sierra Canyon dominating that Sarah Gardena team 30-0. And again, this is the fourth shutout for the Blazers. So forget the Cramp Gate. They're playing great football right now, the Blazers.
Yeah, it's the Trailblazers. That everyone talks about their defense. Their offense, might need to catch up a little bit, but still very potent and not inept. That's a lot of people think, oh man, can Sierra Canyon score in the playoffs in Division I against the big dog teams? Can they score 50 on those guys? Probably not. But they're going to get enough possessions. That offense is a lot better than people think. It's just overshadowed by how powerful the defense is.
Did you say potent? That would explain St. John Bosco. They put up 70 on Jay Serra. Let that sink in. 70 on Jay Serra. That's unreal.
I believe Moa Ulu, I always butcher his last name, only a sophomore. He had 5 touchdown passes. So he's having a great year. I think he only has 1 or 2 interceptions. The Braves are the perennial number 1 team in the land.
Yeah, Koa has really improved at quarterback. He was good last year, but he is on time with his throws this year. And again, Bosco's highly ranked. We'll get to the rankings here in a few minutes. Mater Dei and Orange Lutheran. This was an entertaining game for a while. Low scoring. It was 7-3 Monarchs at half. They pulled away in the second half. Mater Dei is not as potent. Still have the great defense. They're still obviously a very talented football team. But Tarek, this is not a team that's dominating, at least score-wise, their opponents.
I believe after 3 or 4 games, though only one lost to Centennial, obviously, Mater Dei had been outscored. So despite, I think, what would end up being like a 3-1 or 4-1 record, I'm kind of butchering the numbers, but I think after 3 or 4 games, they had less points for than points against, and you just don't see that at all from a Mater Dei team. So I've been saying for weeks, but the second I saw them have a close game with Kahuku, Randy, and it was only like 9-8 or 8-7 at halftime of that game, and I think they only ended up winning like 21-18 or 22-19 or something. They had to eke out a win at home against Kahuku. I knew this is a vulnerable Mater Dei team. It is not the classic powerhouse team we're used to seeing. So I think that adds more interest to a potential parity in the Division I playoffs.
We will see. They are still Mater Dei. They are still winning football games against a grueling schedule. So we got to compliment them. Even though they lost the game at Centennial, they're still playing winning football. Next game, Santa Margarita. They're another team that has an outstanding defense, and they hold the Friars of Servet to just 7 points. The Eagles return to form after their loss to Bishop Gorman.
Yeah, this is a special. I would say Sierra Canyon probably has the best defense in the Southland, and then right there, Santa Margarita nipping at their heels. That's how good that defense is, and they are very, very impressive. They have a little bit more offensive issues. There's no question. They've had games where, Bishop Gorman. Okay, they lost 14-0 and only let up 1 offensive touchdown. So that just tells you their offense is struggling, but their defense that was out there the whole night basically was able to hold Gorman, a national power, to just 14 points, 1 offensive touchdown, more like 7 points. And then Centennial and Mission Viejo, these are games where, against Centennial it was a mid-30s game, but against Viejo the final score was 7-3. They lost. So this is a defense that's very, very good. And I know we'll talk about it in a second, and has a chance to beat Mater Dei.
Well, the team that beat Mater Dei is Corona Centennial. And we got to talk about Matt Logan, their coach, because he did pick up his 300th win last week over Roosevelt Eastvale, and they put up 62. Logan, 300 career victories. He has 10 CIF championships to his side of the ledger. Mm-hmm. He has a state championship, 22 league titles, and 22 of his former players have reached the NFL. Matt Logan, congrats. Great achievement, isn't it?
It is, and you know what? I don't even want to bury you. You nailed it the best. He's just one of the greatest humans, and so not much else to add other than I believe he's the 15th California high school football coach to ever reach 300.
I think he's ranked maybe 15th as the greatest human. I don't know where he is in the poll on who the greatest human is, but I got him ranked 15th all time. All right, let's talk about Rancho Cucamonga, a football team that beat a good Damien team. Rancho's come close this year, but this is a breakthrough win for them.
Yeah, I thought that was a gritty win. And you know what? Damien had won so many good, they beat Tustin, they beat Jay Serra. They had some nice quality wins early. And then for them to trip up and lose by 2 in a tight baseline league tilt, I don't think is anything to, oh man, there goes their season. Nothing like that. In fact, I would argue James Stewart would not admit this on the record, for sure. But I would like to think there might even be a slight joy, I hate to even say that they lost, because they're probably now officially going to avoid getting pulled up into the Division I playoffs. They're a Division II team, and they have a chance to win Division II. So I tell you right now, they're not that mad at a tight loss to a very talented Rancho Cucamonga team.
All right, I want to go through a few scores, and after I do these scores, we'll get Tarek's impression if there's a game here that pops into his mind. Murrieta Valley beating Norco in a high-scoring game, 55-45. Norco actually led this game by 15 points early, 28-13, but the Nighthawks rallied. Then we had Pacific Oxnard, that's the Pacifica team, 17-13 over Oaks Christian, a lot closer than I thought. However, the Tritons do improve to 6-0. Corona Del Mar got a big win over San Juan Hills, won it handily by 23 points, so an impressive victory there. Brady Annette, 4 touchdown passes there for CDM. Beckman, we have to talk about Beckman because they were on our air. Beckman over Fullerton, they scored 34 points, winning 34-14. Beckman over Fullerton. They scored midway through the second quarter to take advantage of their football prowess up front. Zarnowski, number 6, had a huge game for them, for Beckman, and it was a nice win. It was their homecoming, and there's number 6, Zarnowski, doing his thing. And this was a big win. You always want to play well at homecoming. Fullerton might have been the favorite. They had the better record coming in, but they couldn't stop number 6. And he had a great game, and he's to be credited, and I like the fact that he was reaching for the goal line there. So it was a big win for Beckman. We love Beckman here at LA 36. Congratulations on winning on homecoming. Salesian wins. They score 91 points. Ouch, over Cantwell Sacred Heart. They led 84-7 at half. We'll see if Tarek has a thought on that. A couple other scores out of the city we want to give you. Crenshaw beating Dorsey, always one of the great rivalry games in SoCal. Love Jeremiah Alexander, the defensive lineman at Crenshaw. He's phenomenal. So they limit Dorsey to 8 points. Venice, Uni was undefeated coming into this game, and Venice wins it 27-7. And the final game, Larry Zavala, our producer, the Bell graduate, when they do something well, Larry is all over it. There it is. They knock off Garfield, who early on was ranked in the LA City section. I don't know that the Bulldogs should be ranked anymore. Bell has won 3 games. Anything there strike your fancy, Tarek?
Yeah, the win over Oxnard Pacifica beating Oaks Christian, I actually thought was quite impressive because Oaks, if you look at their schedule, yeah, they're 1-4 going into that game, but they had played, Santa Margarita, Sierra Canyon, Chaminade, who that's a decent team, and then the other one is Sarah Gardena. So they've played like juggernauts. So you're thinking, okay, they'll roll into league, and Pacifica, who hasn't played juggernauts at all, albeit 5-0. You'd think, okay, Oaks Christian will probably be a little more battle tested, and for Pacifica of Oxnard to still get that win, I think is actually quite impressive. And I want to give them kudos and Coach Mike Moon for staying, I believe now 6-0 on the year. And then the last one is that Salesian score. From what I understand, Eric Sonheimer reported from the LA Times that there was something about like a denying of a running clock until the 4th quarter. So I don't know what that's about. And correct me if I'm wrong, Randy, but I think that was the case. So if the coach isn't helping his own team from getting embarrassed, I don't know what you want from me. And I'll be of the opinion that Salesian was probably running with 2 second, third string players. And you run a basic, a zone read run, or what have you, and the guy breaks for a touchdown. We're going to tell the kid not to keep running? I don't know. So on this one, it doesn't seem like it was overkill.
Yeah, the coaches have to agree to a running clock if it's going to happen before the 4th quarter. Probably should have had the officials say, "Hey guys, we're going to have a running clock." He should. The official, and again, I wasn't there. Maybe the officials tried to get that accomplished and it just didn't happen. But you should never have a game that lopsided. All right, I have the Max Preps CIF Southern Section Top 10 because it's a little different from Tarek's. So I want to get Tarek's impression after we put this up there. Obviously, Bosco's number 1. They have a very good CIF team, obviously, in Bosco as the number 1 team, followed by Corona Centennial, Mater Dei, Sierra Canyon, Santa Margarita, and going all the way down the line. This is a little different from what you have put out there in the past. Centennial up to number 2 on their poll, Sierra Canyon down at 4.
Yeah, it's almost identical I have Sierra Canyon at 2. I mean, it's very, very similar. Literally, even the 9 and 10 teams are like what I have. So yeah, I mean, I have Sierra Canyon 2 just because they've been thumping on teams and they look really, really good. But yeah, I think there's an element of this that's status quo. There's some teams that are going to play each other here in the coming weeks. Obviously, Mater Dei Bosco is on Halloween. Sierra Canyon should stay unbeaten. We got a bunch, Santa Margarita is going to play Bosco and Mater Dei. That game's this weekend. So, I mean, there's a ton of games. Those rankings could move around.
Top 10 in the city section. This one is really shocking to me at Max Preps. They have San Pedro suddenly ranked number 1.
Yeah.
San Pedro didn't have a real quality win last week. I'm not really sure why they jumped Carson. So this is surprising to me and again, the Pirates are a good football team out of the Marine League. I just don't know that they should be number 1. And now Carson, it falls to number 2. Kind of surprising to me, Tarek.
Yeah, again, I think, when you look at these are basically computer rankings. They're not expert rankings. And so, yeah, there's really no human element or human feel. The computer can kind of help shape, and then, the human element can come in and kind of just, touch some things around to make it look like it's supposed to. There's no question, the top 2 teams in the city are Birmingham and Carson. In which order, that's up for debate, but they're certainly 1 and 2. I would argue those are probably going to be the 2 that reach the Open Division final. So you can book it now, as Fred Robledo would say from the San Gabriel Valley Tribune. I think you're going to see Carson and Birmingham in the Open Division final.
Let's bash the computer. No. Computer did the best it could. They feed the computer, comes it out. With San Pedro, I just don't agree with the computer right now. Neither does Tarek, apparently. All right, here's some top performances from last week in the Southland. We had some good ones, and we'll start with Deshaun Laporte. It went nuts for Burbank, 507 yards and 7 touchdowns. There's Jaden Jefferson of Cathedral doing his thing. Jeremiah Watson, again, very good, the running back out of Murrieta Valley. And then we had Julian Medina, great performance for the Norco quarterback, even though they lost to Murrieta Valley in that game. Isaiah Phelps, the linebacker from Pacifica, with 19 tackles. And there's Zakowski again, the guy from Beckman, 14 carries, 165 yards. We saw him run it in a couple times on our video. Great receptions, 5 touchdowns overall in the win over Fullerton. Any guy catch your fancy there, Tarek?
I'll just say this. As we get into the latter part of the year, I've made for High School NSI and the Daily News this mid-season watch lists for player of the year, offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, freshman of the year, breakout player of the year. And I think through the first half of the year, non-league, you can basically, in so many ways, proverbially nominate yourself for one of those awards. It's in league play and through the playoffs where you can really stamp yourself as a winner. And so there's no question that if you can put together a top performance like 5 touchdowns or 19 tackles in a league game where it matters, because that's where it's going to impact where you're placed in what division and what seeding, that's where you can solidify yourself as a potential candidate for a big time award, whether it be your local paper or a regional outlet. So these players are performing when it matters.
I thought you were applauding because we're going to point counterpoint. Let's get that little video up. It says point counterpoint on it. There it is. I like that. All right, who has been the breakout star this year in prep football? Maybe he didn't have the big name last year, but he broke out this year. Tarek, you go first.
It's an easy one for me. Los Alamitos is 7-0, and they have a star player playing both ways, and they're going to end up being a Division II team, and that's Lenny Ibarra. He is a standout athlete. So he plays more so wide receiver, a little bit of running back, but they line him up all over the place on offense. I think he's got 8-10 touchdowns to his name here this year already. And then he's their leading tackler on defense at, a little bit of linebacker, a little bit of DB. He does so much. He's got a couple interceptions, I believe. He is an all-around player, and he is the epitome of a high school football player that does whatever it takes to impact winning and play for his team. So for me, it's Lenny Ibarra from Los Alamitos.
I'm going to go back in the city. I'm going to take another quarterback on a football team that started the season poorly but is coming on. Eagle Rock's Liam Paston. 20 touchdowns, 3 picks. But what I like about Liam, he appreciates his offensive line. He's a well-spoken leader for the football team, and he's put up at least 34 points in every game. He lost a shootout to Kennedy and Diego Montez early in the year. It was like 55-45. And what does he do? He befriends the other quarterback and says, I want to play against you again in the playoffs. I hope to see you again. This is a true leader. He's a multiple sport guy, plays basketball, shooting guard, point guard. Liam Paston has been great. His brother Brooklyn played there. He's the barber on the team. He cuts the hair and he cuts up defenses. Liam Paston, for me, is the breakout star out of Eagle Rock, that fine quarterback this season. Speaking of Eagle Rock, a little shout out here to their flag football team. They improved to 14-0. They won yesterday over Panorama. That was a big game in the city. Also, Banning shocked San Pedro. Banning beat San Pedro in the championship game a year ago, knocked them off again earlier this week. So Eagle Rock, Banning, two of the favorites in the city, along with San Pedro. San Pedro loses. Those seem to be the three teams. Big wins, though, for Eagle Rock in flag football and for Banning. All right, Tarek, a couple key games to talk about before we say goodbye. How about St. John Bosco, ranked number 1, playing Olu? Does Olu have a chance?
Yeah. I don't know if they have a chance. I'm gonna say no. I hate to even say that in the Trinity League because I think St. John Bosco is just playing the best ball right now. So give me the Braves.
All right, let's move ahead to Santa Margarita and Mater Dei. Mater Dei will host this game.
Yeah, give me the Eagles, man. I'm waiting.
Whoa! You're picking the Eagles?
Yeah, because for weeks I've been saying, I didn't specifically say Centennial is going to beat Mater Dei, but after that Kahuku game, for the second time in this show, I've said I knew that Mater Dei, it's like seeing an immortal bleed. It's like, oh, wait a minute. They're human. They are mortal. And I think there's an aspect of Mater Dei where they can't quite get the machine churning like they're used to. And there could be some frustration there. I think the defense and the return of Trent Mosley could have Santa Margarita knock off Mater Dei. So give me Mater Dei this weekend. Or excuse me, give me Santa Margarita this weekend.
Okay. Vista Murrieta is a good football team. They got to go to Corona Centennial. Obviously, that's not an easy place to play. The Huskies highly regarded. Huskies are the favorite here.
Yeah, I don't think that's the correct game. I think Vista Murrieta is playing Chaparral, and that is arguably the game of the week. It's going to be a great game. That game is a total toss-up. Chaparral and Vista Murrieta. That game could go first team to 60. So we'll see. I could be wrong, but I'm about 95% sure. I think it's Murrieta and Chaparral.
I'm going to skip ahead here so I hopefully won't throw the graphics guys off. St. Francis and St. Paul, guys, if you could find that game. These are 2 0-6 teams, but they're good programs. Just rare to see these teams struggling like that, but yet they're going to collide. Somebody's got to get a W finally.
St. Francis has a good excuse. They lost their top 2 quarterbacks, if you remember that, Randy. So they're basically without a quarterback, and Dean Harrington's a quarterback guru. So that's like, I don't know, telling Steph Curry to play basketball, but you can't shoot a 3. It's not going to go well. St. Paul has played literally one of the hardest schedules in the country, and I think they're more battle tested. I think St. Paul will get its first win, but Jack Paulin, shout out to Jack Paulin. He says someone's O has got to go, and that's going to happen on Friday night.
I like that. We'll use that next week. I think we can use that.
Okay.
Real quickly, the best game in the city, Venice Palisades. It was a 45-44 game last year. That should be a phenomenal game. But more importantly, and that is tomorrow, we want to wish Tarek the best of luck. I know Bree's hanging in there. You're going to have the baby. We're down to our final minute on the show. It's a boy. How excited are you? I know you're always excited about prep football, but we're on baby watch. You got to be excited to the nth degree.
Yeah, of course. Look, as a father, all you care, and a husband, all you really care about. It's almost less about thinking about the baby being here and more about everyone just getting through it healthy, man. So I'm just praying that my wife has a smooth, safe, healthy delivery like she did first time around for Isla, our daughter who's 2, and a healthy baby. And once that part is over, then I can relax and certainly enjoy a new baby boy. So really excited, and thanks for the well wishes.
Tarek, enjoy your vacation.
Thank you. Hold.
No paper
Camera
to
two.
throw? Okay,
Yeah, come on, camera
ready.
2. I know Larry can still do it.
No, he can do it. That's going to wrap up the show for Tarek, who's out there remotely
Give me
with
the
him. We wish him well. I'm Randy.
There it
Our
is.
entire LA36 crew. That's it. The papers are still flying. Here on SoCal Prep Report. We'll see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.
I don't know if you guys saw it. It happened too fast.
Yeah.
The frame rate was too
low.
low.
The paper's just going right by. It's as fast as can be. You have some good arm, Tarek Fatal. If you can throw it from the valley to here, that's impressive stuff.